Story 1. Would I consider moving? Yes. Have I considered moving? Yes. Is it hard because all my family is here? Yes. Story 2. I am unhappy with the current state of affairs. I would consider moving elsewhere. However, the two are not related. In fact, I am more likely to stay because of the current state of affairs. You have to fight. Story 3. Never. I have traveled the world. Nowhere is perfect. This is where my life is. My friends, my family, my children. Story 4. I am an American unhappy with the way things are. I did move. I moved during the previous administration, so it was not because of the current difficulties. However, it is not all better. Even though I live in a country that people love to visit, with a reputation for a peaceful and non-confrontational lifestyle, it is not all fun and games. Every country has problems. It is just a matter of which ones. While we do not have extreme tipping practices, wages have been stagnant for 30 years. We do not have the same housing market issues in urban areas, but city homes can be very small. We do not have inadequate maternity leave, but there is peer pressure to take as little leave, personal, maternity, or paternity, as possible. It is like a mixing board, one slider goes down, another goes up. Moving will not fix your problems. Getting out and protesting just might. Story 5. No. First, all of my family and friends are here. Second, running away from problems instead of trying to fix them is no way to live life. Story 6. No, I would not leave. If you think the grass is greener on the other side, then water your own lawn. Story 7. Yeah, I have definitely thought about it. Not out of some dramatic I hate this country energy, but more out of curiosity and quality of life. Countries like Canada, the Netherlands, or New Zealand seem to offer a more balanced lifestyle, better healthcare, and less political chaos most of the time. Story 8. I am an American with the privilege of a European Union passport. I have considered and will continue considering moving abroad. I would never shut the door on it. However, despite its problems, I have done very well for myself in this country. My plan and hope is to complete my working years here and retire abroad. Considering I am 36 and retirement is a long way away, I hope the country does not deteriorate completely. Maybe it is naive of me, but I have faith that the United States of America will overcome these challenges. Story 9. I am in Scotland. We had average paid jobs. We bought a house in Edinburgh and retired at 45. Then we moved north and bought cheaper property. I take an average of 3 holidays a year, some to Europe, some to the Caribbean, and I have been to the United States. I loved everywhere we traveled but love Scotland more. We have beautiful countryside and beaches on our doorstep. In winter, skiing is only an hour away. There is free health treatment, free university education, and very little crime in the countryside. I cannot remember the last time I locked my doors. Story 10. Yes. Would I consider moving? Yes. Have I considered moving? Yes. Have I talked to immigration consultants and attorneys? Yes. When you are pushing late 40s, the opportunities are few and far between. Story 11. To paraphrase the great Barry Crimmins, I would love to leave the United States, but then I would be subject to their disastrous foreign policy. Barry Crimmins is the Ambrose Bierce of 1980s Boston comedy. Story 12. I'm already planning on moving. I will be out of here in September. My fiancé has dual citizenship of the United States of America and Austria, so we are moving to Vienna. Story 13. Of course I thought about it, but at the end of the day, no matter what these people say, this is my country and I will fight for it. I refuse to let it become the festering hellhole they desire. This country has had fascism and racism beneath the surface the whole time. Now it is time to finally get rid of it. Story 14. I already did. Still talk with family and friends several times a week over Discord. Made a bunch of new friends and live in a country that is not on fire. Haven't regretted it yet. Story 15. A lot of people here are confident about staying in the United States and wanting to help fix it. I wish I could say the same. If I am being honest, I do not feel safe here, and I have not felt safe in a long time. Nowhere in the world is perfect, but many places would not try to kill or detain me just for living as who I am. I am not naive enough to think moving would solve all my problems, but it would probably help me feel at least a little safer in my everyday life. I do not have a strong sense of American pride because my mother raised me to be practical about my situation. I cannot have pride in a country that is in this state, and saying I am American has almost become embarrassing because of the actions of the people representing our nation in elected positions. My fellow citizens are not necessarily to blame, but voter apathy caused much of the difficulties we are experiencing. This has led to an incredibly tense and unstable situation for anyone who is part of a minority, and some people who are not. I am not in a position to move abroad, and I hope the country improves drastically before I do. Truth be told, I do not really want to move abroad when my whole life is here, even given the current state of affairs. But I know I need to prioritize my safety, even if I look like a coward to some people. Story 16. I did. I moved to Sweden. It has been the best decision of my life. I am still voting with my absentee ballot, as is my right as a citizen. Story 17. In a heartbeat. Visas, employment, children's education, and assisted living for a parent with dementia are the biggest hurdles. Story 18. I would personally, not only because of the current state of the country, but American life in general. I have always felt a simple, slow life in Portugal would suit me better. However, I am very frustrated with this administration and the racism the United States inherently has, which has also been stoked by Make America Great Again. I just want a small plot of land and some chickens. Story 19. No. My best moments are spent with my grown children and young granddaughters. I have lived in 4 developing countries for a total of 9.5 years, and I am here to tell you that culture shock is real and not for the faint of heart. Additionally, I love the principles my country was founded upon, as well as the opportunities it has allowed me, so I feel it is my duty to stand by it and vote as long as I have left, even if it is akin to sitting by the bedside of a dying loved one. Having said that, I would never disapprove of someone else doing so. We all have different breaking points, responsibilities, and loyalties in our lives. Story 20. Yes. 2 years ago, my family and I packed up from Idaho and moved to Finland. We are not planning to stay forever, but have very much enjoyed the relative break from United States politics and culture wars. I will bet we end up staying 3 to 5 years in total. Story 21. I am a transgender person with a transgender partner and an autistic child in Texas. If we could move, we would have. Story 22. I would, but that would mean letting the Napoleon complex technology enthusiasts and dishonest politicians who sold out to foreign interests win. No way. This place used to be great. I want it back. Story 23. Would I consider moving? I have been. If I got the opportunity, I would jump on it quickly. My entire life has been negatively affected by the generations around me, and Americans continue voting for the politicians causing harm, with no end in sight. Their voting habits will eventually harm me. I am sure of it. While other countries have their own set of issues, I do not feel like my future would be so willingly voted away by citizens. Story 24. No. I like it here. It is a good country with many good people. I hope that situation improves before the country collapses. I also hope people have learned something. Story 25. No, because all of the problems that exist in America exist everywhere else as well. Yes, America has Donald Trump and the European Union does not, but the European Union has many people like Donald Trump, and they will probably gain more power in the future, not less. The right-wing movement against globalization is a global phenomenon. Everything else, from climate change to fears about artificial intelligence to dealing with dwindling resources and migration, are global problems as well. Find me a country that is not dealing with them. To me, the relevant question is, in the year 1900, where would you go to avoid the negative effects of colonization? There really was nowhere you could go. You were either in a country doing the colonizing or a country that was colonized. It was not possible to be free of it. It was just a question of relative comparison, the least worst option. The same is true today. The major problems are everywhere. What is the least worst place for you to live? The United States still has a lot going for it and will continue to. There are many worse places to be. Story 26. Most definitely. Any group that would elect Donald Trump twice is absolutely beyond hope. I do not want to spend the rest of my life surrounded by ignorant people while my tax dollars pay for the most foolish things imaginable and without decent health care. Story 27. Absolutely. This country was not great before Donald Trump and make America great again anyway. All he did was make the problems of this place more obvious. Donald Trump is not the reason why we do not have single-payer health care, is not the reason the federal minimum wage has been stagnant for decades, and is not the reason there is next to no social safety net. Obviously, I would prefer Democrats, but the majority of them do not really fight for us, so fighting the fascists at home just to return to Joe Biden's status quo is not enticing enough to risk my life. I would rather just wash my hands of this country. Story 28. The grass is always greener on the other side. The state of American political affairs is purposefully overblown by the media to whip the public into a state of perpetual fear so that they are easily governable. Do what the commentators say, hate the people they tell you to hate. If you go outside and talk to the average American, they are generally friendly people. I am good friends with rednecks, lesbians, churchgoers, drunkards, Hispanics, Asians, and others. America is a great big melting pot, and if you choose to seek it, you can always find a friendly face here. There are many countries in the world where I would find my speech limited because the government does not find it acceptable. There are many countries where healthcare takes months for a checkup. There are countries where gangs pull people off the street and abuse them. America has its downsides. I will not deny that. There is always room for improvement, and in my line of work, I have certainly seen a lot of it. But I also enjoy many benefits due to my status as an American citizen. Many people forget that English is a globally learned language for a reason, that the dollar has been a global currency for a reason. America has done many things for its people, and for the world at large, things we now take for granted. Stocked supermarkets, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, plumbing, and power. These are guarantees in a solid 95% of America. Small pockets exist where some live without one or more of these things, but never without all. I am a Texas emergency medical technician. I have seen houses without heating, ventilation, and air conditioning with running televisions, or without water but a fully stocked refrigerator. Where could I go that would offer me better than what I already have? Moving to another country is not cheap. It would have to offer many things. One does not choose a new country based on political climate. That can change drastically, and you may need to move again. Many things are lost in a move, and your safety net of family and friends will be gone. At best, you have your church or some other reliable community to land with, but they cannot and should not be solely relied upon. Although there are countries in Europe that once held great appeal to me, their rich culture does not offset the flaws and struggles these countries currently face. Were I to move there, I would face not only the same struggles I face here, but a language barrier as well. So I ask you, original poster, move where? Story 29. If I had the money and everything else, then yes, I probably would. I could use a change of scenery, and I am tired of the literal rise of fascism every day. It would be nice to live somewhere where freedom truly exists and basic human needs are met with more enthusiasm. Story 30. I asked my mother the same question last week, and she said that it would be selfish to leave the country when so many marginalized people will be left behind. We could afford to, but she works at a lower-income school, which means somebody has to teach the next generation of children not to be uninformed, I guess. Story 31. I am working on that possibility now. I am just one person with many years on this earth. I cannot control society, and I have already waited too long trying to do my share for things to get better. But we are not even on the right trajectory. I have felt myself getting older, my health shifting, job loss, insurance loss, and people telling me it is not that bad and that I am not trying hard enough. All my life, I have done my best, and I am literally at my breaking point. I deserve a place where I can carve out a stable future and happiness for myself and my future family. Anyone saying I have a duty to stay here and fix things when that is all I have tried to do for the last decade is no different from an abusive partner trying to guilt me. The social contract is broken and I am done. Finding a society where the contract is not broken is the right decision. Story 32. Yes. Do you have a specific location? The current anti-science movement will wipe out my entire area of research. We are all in serious trouble. Story 33. We are already in the process of leaving. I have never believed any of what has been told to us in the United States. My father was drafted in the Vietnam War and treated poorly by the government and the people for the rest of his life. An act of service that eventually led to a disability should have been taken care of but was instead met with constant questions, failed payments, rejected increases for food assistance, and ongoing judgment from the community around us. It taught me at an early age that this country and its people do not care about anyone else but themselves. I have never felt like I belong. I have never felt at peace in the United States. Story 34. I did. I left in 2017. I didn't know if it was going to be forever at the time, but I could not imagine moving back now. Story 35. I would move in a heartbeat if I had the skills and the money to do so. I don't care where. Just someone get me out of here. Story 36. I am a mixed-race gay man living in a country governed by white Christian fundamentalists. I believe having backup plans is logical at this point, unfortunately. Story 37. I just moved back from 6 years abroad. For those in Germany. I got a little tired of Germany, but I miss Europe immensely. I'd rather not live in Asia, but it was fun visiting. I have been back in the United States for less than half a year, and I am already seeing where else I can go. I love the United States. I am proud to be an American, especially since my own family immigrated here when I was very little, but honestly, the way things are going, it's just not sustainable to live here. I took a job that pays $4 per hour less than the one I had in Germany, still a good wage for the area, but my housing, food, insurance, and everything else are more expensive. I am lucky if I can save $50 here and there just to go out with friends. In Germany, everything was closer, cheaper, and easier except for the bureaucracy. I could walk to the store and buy groceries for 40 euros. If I went out drinking, I didn't have to worry about paying for a taxi. I could just take the tram. If I wanted to go to a different town and see something new, it only took 30 minutes by car, maybe an hour by train or tram instead of taking the better part of a day. I've been heavily debating trying Canada, as I qualify for permanent residency there, but all my Canadian friends have similar gripes and groans, and I'm just not sure if it would be a great fit. Story 38. Yes, absolutely. I would move to Europe if I could. The way things are heading here in the United States is very bad, to put it lightly. It is not the future I wanted. I know that I do not have the power to change things as much as I want to. If I could, I would move to another country that takes care of its citizens better than the United States does. I have always wanted to live in another country. I remember being in high school and daydreaming about living in Europe as an adult. I am skeptical that any European country would accept me, though. I am in my early 30s, high-functioning autistic with no college education. My body is most likely affected from more than a decade of chronically high stress levels. I do not really bring anything useful to the table, aside from maybe being kind of fun to talk to if you set me off on a tangent about something I am interested in. Maybe I am just being pessimistic. I do not know. Story 39. I am moving to Canada next month because my husband is a citizen and we have the choice. It is hard to leave all the people we love, but everyone is excited for us and would do the same if they had the option. I do not want my children growing up here anymore. The cost of raising a family has been unreasonable for us. I look forward to free healthcare, affordable childcare, and getting away from this government, which I believe is putting kids in jeopardy. This includes whitewashing history, creating a climate of fear for immigrants and minorities, hatred toward the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and other communities, vaccine skepticism, and the frequency of school shootings. Story 40. Colorado is my home. I love it here. I want to stay here. This is home. That being said, with what is currently happening to Latinos in this country and, yes, there are American citizens affected, I might have no choice but to leave. It would be a refugee situation. I would be living in exile. I doubt I would enjoy it, but I would rather live as a refugee in Switzerland than die in a prison in El Salvador. Story 41. In a heartbeat. I have many medical issues, but even with decent insurance, I cannot afford the copays for the doctors I need, so I have to pick and choose. I am tired of the oppression. I would like to live in a real democracy. If another country would take me, I would be gone in a heartbeat. I love my country, but I am tired of all this. Story 42. My wife and I, then fiancés, moved to England around 2005. As a journalist, it was relatively easy. My fiancé was asked to help open an office there, which was not a challenge either. We moved back because we were getting married and wanted to be close to grandparents. The biggest challenge was actually shipping belongings. From the West Coast to England took a couple of months, so we had to have a furnished flat. Socialized medicine was incredible. 50% off for the first year, then fully covered thereafter. The National Health Service was very good, except for dentistry. Story 43. I already have. I am receiving my visa this week. I left during the first administration as well and returned under President Biden. This time it is permanent. Story 44. No. This country welcomed my ancestors when they were refugees from a nation Hitler brutalized. I am not giving it up to the same kind of regime they fought against. Story 45. Absolutely not. This is the reason all our families came here initially, yet people attempt to enter illegally every day. Story 46. Yes, I have been to Finland 8 times. I would gladly move there for a few years, but the logistics are impossible. Story 47. Yes. My grandparents survived a Russian labor camp. Many of their family members did not. History is actively repeating itself, and I will do whatever it takes to keep my daughter safe. I have 3 plans I am working on to get us out of here. Story 48. But it has nothing to do with what is going on. If you stay off Reddit and do not live in these high-pressure areas, you would be pretty oblivious to the day-to-day events. I think it does not affect the majority of Americans directly, yet it is a place with over 300 million people. No matter who is in office, there is always a group that suffers in one way or another. Story 49, of course. I have voted. I have attempted civil discourse. I have donated to campaigns. I am not afforded the time to volunteer for candidates. You can vote in 2 other ways besides the ballot box. You can vote with your wallet or vote with your feet. I am setting up options now, so if the country continues to head in the current direction, I have a place to land softly. Story 50. Absolutely. I would rather get my country back, but it might not be possible at this point. If I decide it is not possible and I can find a way to make a living in Scotland, as the song says, I will take the high road and I will be in Scotland before you. Story 51. Would I consider it? Yes. Can I afford to? No. Do I think I should have to consider leaving this country because some people want to restrict my rights as a queer, transgender, secular person? Absolutely not. Story 52. I considered moving and then I did so. I have spent 2 months so far in Scotland and I am slowly adjusting to the somewhat different way of doing things. That being said, my stress levels have dropped considerably. Story 53. I am transgender. I expect my healthcare to be completely banned within a year at most. I am not sure how far they will go with criminalization, but it is going to get worse. I will probably have to identify as my birth sex wherever I go, allowing widespread discrimination against us all. I have multiple plans for leaving depending on the circumstances. I have mostly stayed because of family and work, primarily family. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.